Welcome back to Responsible Health. We're talking with Dr. Kurt Woeller and Laura Sylvester about autism. Laura, could you just maybe run through a few things? If there's a parent who's talking, who's watching us, and they're saying, wow, that rings true with my child, what are some things they can look for?
Yeah, there's a thing called the MChat. It's a checklist that parents can just go through and ask the simple questions. Things like, does the child point? Does he like to play peekaboo? Does he walk on his toes? And I say he because it's 4 and 1 to boys to girls, but the girls do have it. I have quite a few friends who do. But it's a very simple questionnaire that they can ask, and then they should get to their pediatrician right away, because the earlier you start with the interventions, the better outcome that you could have.
Okay, and so, but some of those things that you listed, like not pointing maybe, those are things that a typical child might not develop till a little bit later, correct? And even like speaking, I know with boys, they'll say boys are slower. So, you know, how do you gauge that without it becoming too late? Well, not that there ever is a time where it's too late, but you want to catch it as soon as you can.
Or panicking because your child isn't pointing, which
right.
You don't want that.
Right.
But the pointing is like a referencing. All children will see something they're excited about and look to you as the mom to say, did you see what I saw? That's social referencing. That's me going, wow, did you see that? And all kids do that. Whether they point or they just look at it and assume you're going to look at it.
Right.
That's what autism is missing. And the questionnaire is good because maybe 3 of the things on the list your child isn't doing. That doesn't mean they're likely going to end up autistic. It's of most of the questions.
I very rarely see a child who may not be speaking, who's not doing something else, where they're totally engaged with their brothers or sisters or friends or family, and that the only thing they're not doing is speaking. There's always something else going on, the pointing, the eye contact. So, I mean, it's obvious beyond that. The lack of speaking, you're right. There's certainly boys, certain boys will speak a little bit later. I mean, you hear about that. But, you know, in my practice, my experience is I have plenty of kids that come in who aren't speaking, but there's something else. There's something else that's not right.
And so, what, you know, for a parent that finds out that that their child is autistic, and they get them in, can you talk a little bit about the hope that, you know, is this something that all kids are going to respond to? Are some kids going to respond to this? Is this something that they can kind of put all their eggs in one basket and say, this will help me? Or are there some kids that you go, no, that just won't help?
There's always that possibility with any health condition. You can't make a guarantee of any health condition that somebody's going to respond to it. The large proportion of kids that I treat respond significantly, you know, to the biomedical therapies that are implemented. My recommendation to parents, if they are suspicious that their child may have some of this, is first get evaluated, absolutely. And then if they get a diagnosis or if their suspicion is high that there is a problem, they have to start looking into biomedical therapies. Probably one of the best places they can start is the Autism Research Institute. So it's www.autismresearchinstitute.com, which is the DAN organization website, the Defeat Autism Now. And they have a lot of articles, there's all kinds of things on there. It's a great place to start to understand this whole avenue of biomedical therapy.
But there is hope. I mean, I just think your story is so exciting, because look at Elliot. I mean, you've seen huge change as the mercury has come out.
I just want to bring up, Laura, you developed a chart, a tree, as it were, for treatment. And I think it's very instructive for people to take a look at, because it kind of, I note that it branches off. If we could show it now, it branches off, and so the biomed is all by itself over there on the right, whereas the other treatments are connected. Why is that?
This is the graphic I use when I go to speak to new parents and try to tell them about biomed, because they're not going to hear about it from their pediatrician, unfortunately. They have to find out about that on their own. And the 4 branches of speech, social, sensory, and behavior modification are all things that the school district is going to know your child needs, that the pediatrician is going to recommend. The biomed branch, as you can tell, goes off to the side all by itself. When I keep all my data in my notebooks for my son, I keep both of them separately, because the school district doesn't really even want to know about the biomed treatments that we do. It's there is a very separate divide there. They do not believe in it. They're very good about keeping my son on the diet, but they do not believe that this, you know, that it's going to.
Is this true, Dr. Woeller? Is this true that the traditional medical community doesn't want to accept the biomed treatment as a legitimate treatment?
Sadly. Sadly, it's pathetic. I mean, it really is pathetic, and to me, it's amazing. Why, I mean, I just hear denial after denial after denial, one excuse after the next, why they won't accept it. And I mean, I see it day to day, kids getting better, kids improving. So fortunately, parents and new parents, they're going to come up against that. They're going to come up against a lot of medical resistance to this, and they just have to keep pushing forward.
They have to push through it, apparently,
and
yeah.
Offer your hope. There is tremendous hope. And for any recovery and possibility of recovery, biomedical has to be implemented. Absolutely.
Generation Rescue is one of my favorite websites. I send parents there all the time, and they have 1,000 parents with kids that they have cured through biomed treatment.
We'll be right back.